Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. Let's dive into the latest around the Dallas Cowboys, and that includes Keanu Neal and exactly what his role is going to be now that he has signed with the Cowboys. There was a report from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network that Neal is going to play weak side linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, and yet there were also other reports from more Dallas-focused media that, oh, wait, the Cowboys, they haven't made up a decision yet. They don't know where he's going to play. So allow me to read between the lines a little bit here. All these reports of Neal and weak side linebacker have come from national people. I think that Keanu Neal's camp very much wants him to make the move to weak side linebacker. I don't think the Cowboys are quite as sold on this one, but I am going to give this 3 stars, meaning it's likely because I think at minimum you are going to see Keanu Neal get some linebacker reps. He is going to be in the box pretty frequently. And with what the Cowboys have right now in terms of their depth chart at linebacker, that makes sense because there's Aldon Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and in fact, maybe what you could see with Donovan Wilson at safety, of course, is maybe you could even see big nickel packages, meaning you pull a typical linebacker off the field and roll with 3 safeties as opposed to 3 cornerbacks, for example. And that becomes your new modern-day base defense with Keanu Neal, Aldon Smith, and Leighton Vander Esch on the field. And then one of those guys comes off in more obvious passing situations. What Keanu Neal has been in the NFL is a very good in-the-box player. This is not someone who, by any stretch of the imagination, is able to play true single-high free safety. That's not his role. But he's a thumper. He's a good tackler. He fits what the Cowboys could use as a kind of linebacker safety hybrid. And in today's NFL, 216 is pretty light. It's not that much lighter than what Darius Leonard, who was great for the Colts, has played at in recent seasons. So I'm going to keep listing Keanu Neal both at the safety and the linebacker depth chart. Donovan Wilson should remain a starter for this organization and figure out free safety later on if you're Dallas. But I'm glad this appears to be the path the Cowboys are going on, where at minimum, you might see Keanu Neal get some reps at strong safety. I think you'll see him play some linebacker as well. I think that makes the most sense. What would have been concerning is if the Cowboys had said, you know what, Keanu Neal, you are our new strong safety. We don't care about Donovan Wilson, or we're going to make him into a free safety, which I don't think fits his actual best traits in the NFL. So I think the answer here ends up being both. Keanu Neal plays both roles for the Cowboys this upcoming season. But in terms of the majority of where he gets his reps, where do you want him to play? Type S for safety or type in LB for linebacker. Let me know what you guys want in the comments section. Speaking of Keanu Neal, I did want to dive into his contract details. We finally got those. And oh, look, the Cowboys are doing creative accounting measures. It is a 1-year deal for $4 million. There is $1 million, by the way, in incentives. That does not count on the cap this year. In fact, Keanu Neal will actually only count $2 million against the cap this upcoming season because the Cowboys did that old void year thing, which means there's an extra $2 million of dead cap next year, but the cap will be up by then. Not as big of a concern, and it keeps the number low for this upcoming year. The Cowboys, in reality, haven't spent more than a couple million on any one player. Keanu Neal was the biggest average per year contract they've given out, and he's counting a meager $2 million against the salary cap this season. And yes, Keanu Neal will help cancel out one of those other comp picks, but the Cowboys have plenty of cap space still available if they want to go get another free safety, if they want to go get a different cornerback, some more defensive line help. They have money available. I'm sure they were also, by the way, roll plenty of that over. But money right now for Dallas, it is not a concern in terms of the salary cap. Now, I don't think the Cowboys are done making moves yet. I think there's going to be at least a free safety coming probably when I'm out of town, but we'll still break it down. Make sure you don't miss any of our videos here at the Dallas Cowboys Report. You might be subscribed, but did you know when you hit the subscribe button, the notifications become default to personalized. Not all of them. So go double check that. Click that bell when you're looking at our channel and make sure it's not on personalized, but instead all. That is the only way to make sure you don't miss out on any of the videos here at the Dallas Cowboys Report. Let's go to Aldon Smith. Is he not going to return? I went back and forth. I'm going to give this one 2. If you make me pick one either way, I think the answer is no. He does not end up returning to the Cowboys. There was a report, though, from Calvin Watkins who says, the Cowboys, they think he fits the scheme, which he does, but they're not sure if they want to bring Aldon Smith back. And Smith began the year very hot, but he certainly did cool off as the year went along. The Cowboys also fired defensive line coach Jim Tomsula, a key contributor in getting Smith to Dallas in the first place. And there have also been some rather cryptic comments from Cowboys insiders. Mike Fisher had said there's challenges to deal with as it relates to Aldon Smith. Jane Slater says there's a lot more to tell, but she can't go into it. Brian Brada says that there's some things he's working through. Those are all fairly concerning comments given the history that Aldon Smith has dealt with. So I don't know of anything, but that at least makes me go, wait a minute, hope everything's okay. Haven't heard anything definitive on that, but it's certainly worth mentioning as it relates to Aldon Smith and the Cowboys. Now, that's the off-the-field side of it. The on-field stuff, meanwhile, first 5 games, Aldon Smith was awesome. 3 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, blew out the Seahawks by himself, most in terms of a sack production, had 3 in that game. And then he was not the same guy down the stretch. Now, part of that was because teams realized, just run the football. They can't stop it. Part of it was probably, hey, you know what? He hasn't played football in a long time. There's some challenges as the year goes on from just a being physically prepared standpoint. But his pressure rate plummeted. That's a red flag there. The Cowboys brought in Tarell Basham, by the way. He could be your, I'd argue, number 4 as opposed to a number 3 defensive end. But with Randy Gregory seemingly set to go, DeMarcus Lawrence set as well, of course, it maybe comes down to the cost, what Aldon Smith wants to do. I don't know. If I have to go one way or the other, I don't think Aldon Smith ends up being back with the Dallas Cowboys this upcoming year, but we'll see. Crazy stuff happens in NFL free agency. So what would you guys do? Would you re-sign Aldon Smith? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Type in Y for yes or type in N for no. Let's stick on the defensive line now. How about going out and getting Geno Atkins? I'll give this one 2 stars. I am open to the idea. I do wonder if this actually fixes your defensive line issues. Now, as expected, Atkins was released by the Bengals, and Inside the Star says, hey, why not go get him? And again, buy low candidate, cheap, little to no guaranteed money, no such thing as a bad deal. Some of you guys wanted to trade for Geno Atkins. I told you he was going to get cut. No one was going to trade for Geno Atkins at his cap hit coming off of a 1-tackle season. That was not ever in the cards. So with what Atkins is right now in the NFL, not what he used to be, but what he currently is, significantly different. So I don't know what the plan is for Atkins in terms of where he's going to sign next, but sure, I would kick the tires if I were the Cowboys. Now, where things get a little bit tricky is, do you want to have both Atkins and Gerald McCoy on your roster? Of course, many of you want to bring back McCoy. I kind of think it's one or the other. With what they're probably going to cost and the role they would want, I don't think they'd both sign in Dallas. So pick one for me. Who would you rather have? A for Atkins or type in M for McCoy. Today's show is made possible by the #1 sportsbook, BetUS. And if you're like me, your bracket is an absolute shambles, and that's not too fun. But we have a chance to redeem ourselves by placing some bets on individual March Madness games. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use the promo code you see on your screen. That's Cowboys125. And when you put down at least $100, they're going to give you an extra $125 for free. That way, just in case you pick the wrong side of an upset, you got plenty of money left over. It's chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys125. Let's talk draft now with the Dallas Cowboys. Are they going to have their pick of whatever cornerback they want? I kind of think so. I'm going to give this one 3 stars. Not set in stone by any means, but in terms of the likely path, the way the draft goes down, the Broncos have added both Ronald Darby and Kyle Fuller. I don't think they're going to go cornerback number 9 overall. And yes, teams like the Panthers and Lions and Eagles could all use a cornerback as well. They got bigger needs, and frankly, there should be better players on the board that fill a bigger need with where those teams are drafting. So as a result, I do think the Cowboys are in position to take whatever cornerback one they have on their board, if of course they choose to do so. Because Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, you've got two guys who could play the nickel if you need to. Trevon Diggs, Anthony Brown, two guys who could play the outside. You still want another legitimate outside corner, though. And I finalized my top 5 cornerback prospects in this year's draft. In order, Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn, Greg Newsome, and Asante Samuel Jr. Now, Samuel's definitely not in play at number 10 overall. I don't really see a scenario in which Newsome is in play either. Some people have J.C. Horn pretty high. I think he's closer to Newsome than he is Farley and Surtain. So it comes down to one of those two guys for me, but we'll also discuss some J.C. Horn as well, since I know people like him. Now, in the end, look, I got Caleb Farley as my number 1 cornerback in this year's class. And I know there's some risk there, and some people have mentioned, well, he's not that developed in terms of actual football X's and O's. He's played corner for 2 years, and look how good he was. Is the ACC full of elite receiver talent? No, it's not. But he's a fantastic athlete with great ball skills. I think he's a fantastic fit opposite Trevon Diggs if you want some more speed there. So I would go Farley at number 10 overall. I don't know yet where the Cowboys stack these corners. I would not be surprised, nor would I be upset if Patrick Surtain ended up being the pick there at number 10 overall. In terms of reliability, steadiness, technique, he's about as good as they come. I think there are some top-end athletic quickness concerns there, but he's a good football player, and we often overlook that in the NFL draft a lot more than you would think. And then briefly, J.C. Horn, who I know some people like a whole lot. If you watch the Auburn-only game, he looks incredible. If you want to run press man coverages, J.C. Horn is your guy. There are some inconsistencies, and, he's very grabby as well. Patrick Surtain grabs some, but he's a more creative player when it comes to hiding that he's holding, which all corners do, but Horn's pretty blatant with it in the end. I also wanted to hit briefly, at least, some updates on the visits coming in for the Cowboys. Malik Hooker and Damontae Kazee, per Calvin Watkins, are set to visit on Tuesday/Wednesday, as the Cowboys are not done yet in the free agent market at the safety spot. Both of those guys are set to visit this coming week. Malik Hooker, high-impact player, rangy, dynamic, perfect fit as a free safety. Also has a massive injury history. Damontae Kazee, much like Malik Hooker, coming off a torn Achilles, less injury history than Malik Hooker. I think the reasoning why both these players are coming in, highly touted, one a former first-round pick, one knows Dan Quinn very well, and the team wants to get some medical information on them. They want to see how their rehab process is going. And even if you sign one of those guys, you're probably okay in the short term at free safety. I still want to draft somebody fairly early in the 2021 NFL Draft.